Hey Reflections! So, in today's podcast, I'll be interviewing my dear friend Skanky Mojo, aka Akiodaku. Now, Skanky Mojo has just put out an album, and he is a recording artist. And he knows a lot about music and sound engineering, and he's just a really good friend, and we have really deep conversations because he's also a psychonaut. So, in this podcast, we're going to be talking about the cult of celebrity and its effects on culture, society, and us as a collective. We also talk about the journey from a psychonaut's perspective. We also touch on topics like Kanye West. Is he woke? What's really going on with him? We talk about the industries, we talk about a whole bunch of topics, and I'm really excited to put this together and to share it with you guys. That out. We're getting back to Kanye.
That's cool. That's cool. Right. Yeah. Okay. So what I was about to say was that it's like with the woke celebrity thing that it's weird, man, because it's like.
What do you think about that?
I find it really funny because it's like there's a load of kind of Generation X's who are the kind of like big celebrities at the moment, all in their kind of like early to mid to late 40s and shit, who are going through this kind of like, oh my god, I'm becoming woke as fuck experience. And I'm just like, shit, man, you sound like me and my mates when we were like 16. Fucking get with it. You know, it's maybe that's me just being arrogant as fuck, but it's like they're all getting like, oh, the Matrix, man, and fucking, you know, and they're like, the corporatocracy behind everything, and I'm like, you're just clocking on now, are you? Really? In your 40s? Fuck me. How sheltered have you been?
Right.
But then I think, like, you know what I mean? When a lot of these kind of celebrities are the big celebrities.
Yeah, exactly. They're celebrities. They're in it.
But they'll have been like in that celebrity bubble from being in their early 20s and shit, won't they? So they've probably not had a lot of exposure to all that kind of shit.
Yeah.
And they've probably literally just got to the point now where they've got enough success and freedom to step back from it a bit and start to kind of like, because they didn't grow up with the fucking internet.
Yeah.
We had so much information available to us from the word fucking go. And they're all just kind of like getting to terms with that and integrating that information now. Whereas we kind of had a head start on it in a weird way, I feel.
I feel you. That's exactly what it is. And like, I mean, like, that's what I was saying about the generations before us and our experience. The thing is, we literally had the internet at our fingertips since we were children, and some of us were born into it. So, like, we were in the woods and we were hiking, and we saw this mom and her little child that was like 5 years old was like figuring out where they were in the woods and like could use a cell phone better than her. And like that's what is exciting, you know, to see just like how much of a heads up it is. But at the same time, I realize that it's also all consuming. And yeah, I think it's really cool that now you have like celebrities that are doing I'd say like stuff like this, and like they're talking about like the holographic universe, you know, like I think that's really cool. And I agree, it's a little like, oh, we've been there, done that, like in our early, you know, to mid 20s, because we had access to that because we were taking psychedelics, you know, but it's kind of cool that they're like, you know, inseminating that out to the general population or, you know, their demographic. Yeah.
I find it interesting. I just think, again, because, you know, I'm picky about this kind of shit where I'm always like, folk need to be careful about how they kind of assert truths and things. So it's like, I appreciate that a more kind of psychedelic view is starting to permeate culture, but I still like I don't appreciate the kind of naive components of it that I feel are kind of coming through. But obviously, that's me egoically asserting that I get to decide what is naive and what is not. So I might just be full of shit.
But here's the thing: like the way they're coming at it, it's just like pro hyper capitalism and hyper consumerism. You know, and like
in what sense?
I mean, because like a lot of them are just like manifest everything, and like we're living in this matrix, and corporations, like the whole entire time he was talking about big corporations. Like, what the hell do we care about big corporations like Nike and fashion houses? And like, how is fashion changing the world and what we're living in today? And I felt like it was just like he was a little bit disconnected from what's going on, you know? That's how I felt. And I feel like that's how the majority of celebrities are, because they're still in this hierarchy where they kind of probably think that they're better than people. And again, I don't really judge them for that, because I just realize you break away from that, or hopefully you break away from that in your spiritual evolution. Yeah.
Yeah. Well, I think it must be so fucking difficult to not just become extremely detached. Because, I mean, when did Kanye fucking break through? You know what I mean? He's been around since like the fucking 90s, hasn't he? He might not have been massive in the fucking 90s, but he's
like
still
early 2000s, maybe late 90s,
right.
Yeah, something like that.
Well, like, he spent nearly 20 years of his life, at least, I'd imagine, in that super celebrity industry bubble, hasn't he? So it must be difficult to not just be completely fucking detached from what real life's like. Can you imagine? I can't even comprehend being that fucking mega rich.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? It must be like living in a different fucking world. I don't know how you'd relate, or if we can even expect someone like that to relate to someone with like a fucking day job or something.
Yeah. And like that's just how things get. It's just like the weird way, you know, of how things are. And like I think that as a society, we do live in this cult of celebrity where, you know, a lot of people just think that a musician or an actress or a YouTuber or whatever is supposed to be this, you know, person that's put on a pedestal. And I think that the society and culture just feeds into it, and they feed off of it, and then they think that they're this god, and you just see that everywhere. And like that's why I'm kind of just a little disgusted and like disappointed in what I see. And like, you know, but the thing is, there always needs to, like, I don't know, people just need to be more aware of that.
Yeah. But I mean, that exact reason there is why I kind of found that interview almost endearing, because I was kind of, it's like, I legitimately did have the kind of like, Kanye, you're just a normal bloke in above your fucking head and you don't know what the fuck you're dealing with, do you, fella? Like, because he's not got a fucking clue, has he? He's just trying desperately to navigate that fucking water. Yeah. And
like he literally just woke up, it feels, or he's trying to, you know, I get it.
Yeah. But I mean, it did that thing to me where it solidified, where it's just like, oh, you're just a normal bloke too, like the fucking rest of us. You're just in this really weird fucking situation, which must be so obscenely complex.
Crazy. Yeah.
You know what I mean? And I kind of think like imagine waking up, right, in a kind of spiritual sense.
With the Kardashian as your wife.
Yeah, you're married to fucking Kim Kardashian, and you've got like fucking, you know, like Gucci and Nike chasing you for fucking billions and stuff, and all this crazy shit going on. Like, fuck man, I hadn't had enough time, and I didn't have any of that shit to deal with. Yeah. And I fucking lost my mind for a few fucking years. I'm like, fair dues, Kanye, man. If you just ended up in hospital for a bit and like, you've done vaguely all right just to still be able to, you know, talk to other humans at this point.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? But it is interesting, and like you say, that like the fashion thing. I could have appreciated it and kind of like understood what he was trying to get at
But
if it was just, this is an art form that I enjoy doing. I'm now deciding that I want to express myself through the art of fashion because I'm getting bored with music or whatever. I'd be like, yeah, fair dues, man, fair dues.
Yeah.
But yeah,
the thing he said about Tom Ford and like how like he wants to buy into that corporation just because he appreciates the artist. This is where art goes wrong. And this is the exact opposite side of us, the polar opposite of somebody that has the corporations at their knees and they are so disconnected and they think that this hyper-consumerism or hyper-capitalism is going to solve their problems. And imagine waking up, being married to such a superficial person and being the exact image of that person, that reflection, and you're just going with it and you just think, oh my God, yeah, these corporations are awesome. They're here to save the environment. They're here, you know, to save humanity. They're not here to change us and to like prey on our insecurities and sell us things. And, you know, like he's just so lost and it's so sad for me, you know, like when I see that. Yeah.
See, like I find it so utterly complex, the entire kind of situation, because like I think that initially all corporations really start off with some kind of positive intent. Yeah. You know what I mean? People want to make a positive impact on the world.
But here's the thing. Now they're exploiting him because did you see that that thing that I sent you of him on TMZ? Like he was saying the same thing and they used a sound bite. And it was all about how him thinking that 400 years of slavery was a choice. And
I didn't see that. What the fuck? Explain this to me.
Oh shit. Okay, so after the day,
I just watched that kind of like 2-hour interview with that other guy sat in house.
It got worse. So a day after that interview, keep in mind his interview dropped May 1st, which is May Day, which is a highly occult day, and the day after he went to TMZ. And he seemed a little, again, disconnected. And he just went in there and he was saying, you know, I think he was basically showing his perspective and his narrative as a black person in America. So he was saying that, you know, he was talking about free thought and free speech. And he was saying that the slavery, the 400 years in slavery was a choice, he said, which I did not agree with because that doesn't make sense. Like, they didn't choose to come over here. People brought them, like, with guns, you know, like, and stuff like that.
Right, I'm just going to play devil's advocate here. Not that I'm saying slavery was a choice in any way, shape, or form.
Yeah.
Right, okay. But, like, because obviously I've not seen that statement. How was he trying to say that? Because I know, like, I've heard people, especially when they're kind of going into the kind of like, I'm now woke and becoming aware of things. You get people who start kind of subscribing to the idea of, like, past life karma and shit like that. And could it have possibly been him trying to articulate something terribly kind of like, articulate that kind of concept really badly, if you will? So, not that I'm saying, because I personally don't believe in past life karma. I think that's bollocks. But was he kind of like being like, I don't know.
No, that's not what he was saying. What he was saying was, and I'll tell you exactly what he was saying. Number one, when we're talking about Kanye, we have to see who are the 3 people that he's following. Number one, the perverse person he's following is Candace Owens. She's a Republican black person, and she is like a right-winged person. The second is Emma Gonzalez. She is a leader of the All Lives Matter and gun control. And the third is his wife. So basically what was he was getting at was humanity is in a state of slavery and it's a war over our mind, and this is what he said on TMZ again. He said we are being drugged, and we are all being drugged, and all the drug industry, the pharmaceutical industry is ruining us. He said he got lipo because he was trying to like look good for the media, and he was on opioids.
Sorry.
This is what he said. This is what he said.
Kanye got fucking lipo. That's brilliant.
On live TV. On live TV. On TMZ.
On live TV?
Yes. Yes.
Really?
Yes.
Okay.
And then he said, and then he said that like slavery is a state of consciousness, and we're all in a state of slavery, and the media controls us, and industries.
I can kind of agree to that to a certain extent, because I like the idea that you are individually responsible for what you're taken in by. You know what I mean? That's why I've got kind of like, I take the stance that I don't particularly think that the corporations and capitalism and everything like that is to blame, because it's up to the individual to buy into that. So I think the responsibility should sit on the individual shoulders.
Yeah, no,
to
it's
a
not to
certain
blame,
extent.
but when we're living in a society that's like super consumerism, you know, and it's just like that's all that is your life's purpose. You forget about everything. That's what I mean. It's really a balance of, you know, what your morals are, you know, where you're at. Are you all about the self, you know, and serving the self, or are you about the collective and your community and your children and your family, you know, and like that's the two states of being. Yeah. So like that's what I mean when I say like capitalism and consumerism. I don't think of as a whole that it's horrible, because like at the end of the day, we also have to make money. We have to survive again in this fiat system. So like you can't just hate it all, but the people that think that they're only here to sell a product, you know, or only here like and pervert I feel art, you know, and like think that art is your follower base, or art is how influential you are, you know, and like just like so narcissistic. And I don't think art's about that, you know, like it's again conveying beauty or a message or, you know, anything like that, but it's not about the person. It might be a perspective, but yeah, I don't know. I found it was like, it's really early on in his stage, and I find like everybody's a spiritual being, and it seems to be happening all around where like people are either getting on this path or they're just like, you know, they think you're crazy.
Yeah.
Yeah. So like that's what I mean, it's really funny to watch because like it's not you. Yeah, you feel me?
Oh yeah, man. I think like it all really interests me though, because there's so many of these kind of little attention traps everywhere, and I think one of the most important skills that you kind of try and develop, you're trying to develop as a kind of like, you know, quote unquote woke individual, is your ability to navigate those attention traps.
Yeah.
Because every fucker out there, including me and you, effectively what we're all doing, we're all going, give me your fucking attention, people. And the more attention that we get,
I mean,
the
here's
more
the
kind
thing.
of
It's
power we
why
have
you're
to
doing
play
it.
with.
It's why you're doing it and why you're seeking attention. Are you seeking attention to validate your own existence, or are you seeking attention to help people around you and to raise awareness to a lot of things? You know, I find like
I think like you can't declare one or the other, because like
I do, because like again, I've been through that, and like that was my whole entire year of like finding myself and not judging myself and not thinking that, oh, I'm here to get attention because other people think that I'm here to get attention. I'm here to be a voice for women and to express my truth and to like have new content that's never been done, and it's my thoughts literally manifesting into the world and possibly helping, possibly entertaining. I don't know. That's just me.
Can I ask you a difficult question?
Yeah, sure.
Why do you get to speak for women?
I like to, because I like to represent, And I feel that
what council of people voted for you to represent women?
Well, like I don't
get
the
women agreed
I don't get into politics, but I find that there aren't a lot of girls in the psychedelic community because they're just not like their mind's not there. You know, like it's all about the superficial, just like guys sometimes are all about the superficial. Whether it's like buying bottles of champagne and like, you know, the bottle service in nightclubs, or whether it's just like, again, I'm not judging people. This is all early on in your path. Just like, again, hyper consumerism. So like they're just thinking about the next facial product or, you know, the next makeup and clothes and designer stuff. So like they're not thinking about their mind. And I find like that's kind of what I want to encourage, like the psychedelic experience, the lucid dreams. That's why I feel like I'm a representative. I think all of us are representatives to the humankind. You know, like that's what we should be taking life, you know, to the next level. Like I feel like that's how my mind works. I think like that's where we should all be. We all should have that confidence and know that we're just here expressing our divine truth and to just, you know, share and to encourage and to like leave something to like next generations. You know, yes, like, I don't know.
I like that. Very well put. Yeah, yeah. See, I was trying to throw you then, but I like it when you kind of like throw a hard question at someone and they've actually thought about it beforehand. Nicely done.
That was my whole year. That was all of last year. That's what I was thinking. And I was just like really judging myself. And I talked about that in my like insecurities video and like
yeah, I watched that.
Yeah, and it was like really like why shouldn't I be honest about this? Because if you are really woke, then you're just learning from this experience and you're figuring your shit out and you're being a better person for the people around you because like that's what you're here to do. I don't know, like I don't like to fight really. Like it takes a lot for me to like get angry and to fight with people now, and it's just like I'm just really sensitive, you know, and you just become more sensitive to other people's opinions and their thoughts and their well-being. You know, it like earlier on in my journey when I first started, it really was like I was shaking because like I didn't know myself at that point, and you just realize you don't know yourself, you don't know shit about yourself, and then you become like all-knowing, and that's when you think you're like God and you're like, oh, I'm here to save the world, whatever. And then life happens and you start learning from your experience and you're like, oh my God, in every single moment we're supposed to be feeling based from the heart and love and to help and just be helpful and loving and like do the right thing, morality. You know, a lot of people don't realize that like there is a thing, it's either serving yourself and not caring about other people or like serving the collective. You know, like that's just, that takes your mindset to the next level, you know, like, and I find with, you know, people in general, when you start serving other people versus yourself all the time, I'm not saying that it, you know, like you shouldn't serve yourself. You have to take care of yourself first. Like I had to be able to afford all this shit, you know, before I started doing this, you know, and like that's what it is. It's like building up, and like you're doing that as a person, and you're becoming a more spiritual person. You're becoming more empathetic. You're becoming more compassionate. You're seeing your actions and like how your actions speak way like louder than like anything else, and like the power of just like, again, intent. And like just going with it and not letting anything stop you because you're like, I'm here to do something.
See, yeah. That I think that's an incredibly important realization when you kind of like reach that point where you realize that it's not all just kind of relativistic, where there is actually discernible morality in this experience, you know what I mean? Because I think like you're saying, when you have that, oh, I know everything kind of bit, which is like initially that does, it feels like the thing, that feels like the thing where you're like, oh God, we're all one, everything's the same thing and it's all amazing and wonderful and brilliant and nothing's better than anything else because it's all kind of relative. And then you kind of go, oh no, because there is a discernible morality that cuts through the middle of it all. And that to me, it's so tricky to kind of find and properly pin down and define, but it's the most important aspect of doing the work in my eyes, because it's like that is the path itself. That's finding the road that you have to fucking tread, because you do have to get to the point where you make a decision, you make a call on this is morally better than this. So we can't just say, oh no, all things are relative. It's like, no, some shit is worse than other shit. And so we need to make sure we steer the collective towards the shit that's good.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah, no, I totally agree with you. Totally agree.
Definitely. It's like, it's very difficult, though, to articulate that to a broad spectrum of people. Yeah. You know, because like you said, because with Kanye, he's just hitting that point now where he's kind of like, you know, that I am God, I know everything, I'm and it's like, yeah,
but wasn't that us at one point? Like
exactly. But me and you didn't have like
that shit,
the reach to speak to fucking billions of people following us. You know what I mean?
That's kind of dangerous.
So it's like that can be damaging if you end up drawing a lot of other people into a stage that is something that you're going to grow past, if you will. You know what I mean? Because when Kanye gets to the point where he's kind of like has fully integrated his breakdown and everything, then he wouldn't articulate it in the same way as being like, I'm Jesus. I love you, man. When you told me that, I nearly died. That was fucking brilliant. Jesus. And right, sorry, we're going off fucking topic here, but I love the fact he's calling himself Ye. I'm not just... Because, right, okay. I think I get to this point now where it's just, all of it just seems so fucking silly to me. You know what I mean? And like getting
comical.
Caught up in any of the kind of the seriousness of it, because it's like it feels like it should all be more playful than that. Yeah. You know what I mean? Like just with everything that everyone gets bogged down in, I'm like, if you're getting bogged down in something, I feel like you're starting to take yourself that little bit too seriously, because that's you're stopping kind of loving the childlike development of a thing. Yeah. It's kind of like you've got to play the game of life like you're a child, so there's actually some insight that you glean from it. You've got to be willing to kind of make mistakes and look stupid and not kind of like, you know, not aim for perfection all the fucking time, because you're trying to learn. Because if you're just like, oh no, I'm going to make the perfect right decision all the time, then that's just such an egoic place to come from. You're asserting that you know, and part of the idea of discovering that kind of moral path
is learning that you don't know.
Yeah, it's being willing to be like, oh shit, there is definitely a positive direction that is morally navigatable to, but I might not necessarily have all the tools available to me to find that bit of the path, so I've got to be willing to just kind of roll the dice sometimes, see where they fucking land, and measure if I'm fucking up or not, and course correct if I am.
Yeah.
Do you agree? Yes.
I completely agree with you. That's exactly what life is. And I find that some people aren't feeling the correction within life that comes, and it's just like, oh, you're on the wrong path, you're not thinking the right way, or you're doing something harmful to yourself. And some people don't see that correction, and they just keep on going deeper into their own psychosis. But I find, like, that's why I'm so happy that I have technology. Like, honestly, it's helped me, like, learn myself a lot more, and experiences, and like falling down and looking stupid, like that's all part of the evolution, you know, and just knowing that, you know, like, again, you're doing it for the art, you're doing it for the soul, most importantly, and to express your soul. And as long as you do that,
and you come, like, sometimes, like, there will be people that are just nasty or angry and, like, shitty, and, like, I have to deal with that, and, like, I don't understand why people are like that, but, you know, sometimes I get that way too, like, bitchy or no, but it doesn't happen as often, and like, I don't get angry like I used to anymore. You just become more self-aware, and you realize that there's certain consequences to those type of actions.
Definitely. Well, I think well, you're perfectly right in saying you just become more self-aware. Because I personally, I am a bit of an angry cunt, me, really. Yeah. Like, loads of shit winds me up, and I get needlessly pissed off with things. And I do the typical male thing where you kind of see the world in a binary. Either a thing is a tool that you can use to progress, or it's a fucking obstacle and it's in your way. So if like, someone does something that kind of puts them in the obstacle category, I have to force myself into being like, whoa, no, they're not. Stop viewing the world as objects, and start seeing the kind of depth and the complexity to things, and like that, like, because it happened to be driving and shit all the fucking time. Cars do me, but this is a perfect illustration of how fucking just like, pardon me, full of shit and imperfect I am, right? Because last week, right, long story short, the bearings on the wheels on my back two wheels on my car were being fucking dodgy. I've had them sorted now, so it's not an issue. But the point is, your bearings going on your car wheels is a dodgy fucking thing, because if your bearings blow out, your wheel will come off, and you don't want your wheel to come off when you're driving at like fucking 60 down the motorway or something. It's not a cool thing to happen. You can cause a lot of damage to yourself and other people around you. So you need to get it fixed. But point being, this had me driving round for about a week at like 30 miles an hour on all the fucking B roads and shit, not taking the motorway and everything, and driving round like a little granny, because I'm like, shit, I need to be driving slowly, because if my wheel fucking comes off, I don't want it to come off when I'm doing 60. I can deal with it coming off if I'm driving slow, and I can slam my brakes on and just about fucking survive that shit, but I need to be cautious about it. So there were a lot of times where I'm driving round, and there's like, it might have been in a fucking 40 or a 50 zone or something. So I could have been going 20 miles an hour faster than I was actually going. And I've got like a line of traffic behind me, and they're all like, I can see them all getting well pissed off because I have become an obstacle. I'm not a person anymore. I'm just this obstacle that's in their fucking way. And part of me were a bit of a dick, because I kind of revel in it. I'm like looking out my rearview mirror like, you bastards, I'm just going to fucking toot along at 30. Because none of you realise, none of you understand the context that actually I am making the road a safer place by driving slower. Because if my car wipes out at fucking 60 because my wheels come off and I hit one of you cunts, you know what I mean? You'd thank me if you knew the context of what was going on, right? Yeah. So I'm there in that situation, and I kid you not, right? When I got my fucking, and I've realised the ultimate hypocrisy in this, but this is just me illustrating that I'm not above this shit, and I have to still try and be aware of it, right? That the day I get me fucking bearings fixed on my car, right, I'm driving fucking like I were rushing home from fucking somewhere, and there was this car in front of me going slow as fuck, and I'm being a dickhead getting right up its fucking ass, because this, whoever it is, they're now a fucking obstacle to me. They're in my fuck. I'm like, why the fucking, it's a 40 zone. What are you driving 30 for? And then I went, oh shit, wait a minute. This motherfucker's bearings could be fucked. Yeah. And they might be driving around at 30 to make sure I don't fucking die. Yeah. And, you know what I mean? But it's it's weird, isn't it? When you've been so aware of that fact, you were the fucking obstacle the day before, but the day after, someone doing the exact same thing that you were doing, you still managed to slip into that stupid viewpoint of suddenly, no, object. Let's objectify this. It's not a human with a context and a life and a deeply complex kind of personality and experience. No, it's an obstacle, and it's in my fucking way. Get out of my way.
Yeah, I try not to be that. I try not to be the type of person that's like running around Like, I don't really do that. But then again, you know, that's just how I choose to like go at a slower pace than everybody rushing around me. Yeah, yeah. And
I
like,
don't.
even driving,
I'm good at asserting importance of my own shit, even though it's not. You know what I mean? But that's something that I constantly have to try and be aware of, because it's very easy for me to be like, oh no, what I'm doing is the most important thing today.
Yeah.
So fuck all y'all, because my shit's important. Like,
yeah.
and
No, I feel you. I feel you. I do that way. I get that. Well, I used to get that way when doing videos and everything was noisy around me, and like everyone was noisy around me. I just get so angry, and I'm like, do you know how important this is? You know, like stuff like that. But now I realize, like, just you could just chill. You could wait for the noise. You could record another time. You have lighting. Chill the fuck out. Don't be too self-important. Because a lot of people are. It's that I'm better than you, I'm more important than you thing that everybody is struggling with.
definitely. I think like I don't want to say that it's easier for you in any way, shape, or form, but I think it's something that's kind of like innate to the male ego, that it's very easy to kind of flare up in that way, because I do find myself going for that kind of aggression. It's something I literally have to catch. You know what I mean? You're like, oh, stop, no, I'm doing that dominancy kind of fucking dickhead thing again. Breathe. You know what I mean? And like,
even for me, like, even as a woman, like, I'm a very dominant, I'm very aggressive, like, I'm very loud sometimes, and you know, like, I just have to realize, like, not everything is this battle. You know, you just have to chill and breathe and relax and go with the flow, and not be like so like just like ready to like in that fight or flight, you know, where you're just reactionary. That's the space where I like to be, because it's more restraint. It's more like less consequences. Like, I have to be pushed to be in that space, you know? So like, yeah, so it's for me.
Balancing the kind of war and the love inside of you, innit? Because there's a brilliant analogy that I heard recently, and that I think is the best way to kind of well, no, it doesn't necessarily have to be the best way, but it's a really effective way to conceptualize that kind of balance of aggression and kind of love that you need to kind of find, where it's like, be like the rose, right? Because the rose, it gives its beautiful fragrance and its beautiful appearance and shares that with the world. But it does have thorns, but its thorns aren't used to attack or anything. You know what I mean? That power's still there, though. But if someone tries to damage the rose, they effectively will prick themselves. The rose doesn't try and prick them. They prick themselves by grasping and clutching at the rose. So it's like you need to kind of, you need to have your thorns. You need to have that capability for war inside you, but it needs to be as the rose's thorns are. It needs to just be there when other people grasp for it, not as a thing that you attack with.
Yes, I agree.
If that makes any sense.
I absolutely agree. Sometimes you have to stand up for yourself. You know, like, I've realized that more so now than before. Because again, I was in Manhattan. I was in my little bubble for years, and I was very passive, you know, and just like not very aggressive, didn't understand. But the more situations I've been in the different places I've lived in, have made me realize that no, you need boundaries. And sometimes there are shitty people doing shitty things, and you have to call that shit out, you know, and like, you don't take shit. Like, for some reason, people think spiritual people just sit there and get shit on, and like, that's the thing to do. But I'm like, no. Like, you stand up for yourself, and then you don't talk to those types of people, because you don't fucking deserve to be in my life. Like, get out of here. So yeah, I've learned that more recently, and to like stand my ground, and like, you have to, as a male or a female, have to be aggressive sometimes, you know, especially with that morality issue. I think more and more and more now, because other people, again, don't realize that there is a thing between, you know, that good and evil, the scales within you, and like you have to balance that out and navigate that, and do the least harm you can, I find, because like that's the only thing you can do. And yeah, if you
that kind of the dictum, do the least harm you can, I think is brilliant, because that to me is kind of how I decide whether aggression is appropriate.
Yes.
Because sometimes it's like if you see a child going towards a plug socket with a fork or something, you know what I mean? It's like the only option to stop them jamming that in the plug socket might be to smack their hand. And that kind of may look like an initial moment of aggression, but that moment of aggression the sum total of that may alleviate even more kind of negative stuff in the future. So it's kind of making that kind of balance, isn't it? But right, the question I wanted to ask you, and this is kind of like referring back to the video you did, the one we were on about, the one that got interrupted by the fucking sirens and shit. I can't remember about the actual thing, but you were on about your relationship with your grandmother in that, right? Yeah. And I was just intrigued to kind of, not because obviously that's a family relationship, and you were talking about having to navigate your grandma's opinions and almost her kind of like egoic sense of her generation being kind of almost better than ours and things like that. Like how the fuck did you go about navigating that without just kind of kicking off?
I laughed.
You know what I mean?
I laughed because I said, again, you know nothing. It's the continuation of the cycle. And I said, instead of disempowering me, you should be empowering me. And she shut up right away. Because again, like I said, I'm looking for that maturity within, you know, the older generations. I think the way we are women, we're men. Like, this is what our grandparents should be. This is, you know, like, again, wisdom. This is wisdom. And, like, you just handle it with the most wisdom. And it's not showing off, but it's showing, again, reality and truth. And it's not just about what you've done. Again, I didn't want to hurt her, but, like, that was, like, a very superficial level of wokeness, or like, you know what I mean? It was very superficial. They still chose that corporate consumerist lifestyle. They still bought into it. They still think they're better than other people. They're still entitled. Like, it's still a problem. And like, that's what I realized, like, a lot with my family. Like, sometimes they're just trying to keep up appearances, and I'm just so unapologetically not that. You know, like, I like moved to a part of the neighborhood that, like, a lot of people are like, whoa, that's kind of sketchy. But again, I'm an artist. Like, this is what we do. This is how we live. You know, like, we're not thinking about what other people think of us. Like, I'm busy trying to create. Like, I'm busy doing stuff, and I'm not really worried about anything else other than keeping my bills low so I could possibly buy a house and be fucking smart and forget about what people in society think about me right now. And I told my grandma, I'm like, you were 32, you know, and like, you had to suffer too. Don't forget that. Like, I'm just starting out, like, and I'm just doing, you know, and like, you depended on a guy, and like, you didn't want to work. I mean, you wanted to stay home and be a mother, and that's really important too, you know, but like, I'm creating, I'm doing my own thing, and if you can't empower me, then you're part of the problem. And like, she shut up, and that's it. Like, that's how I handle it. And it's, you know, we have a great relationship because like, my grandmother is very inspiring to me. I realized that she just worked with what she had and the resources that she had. And that was, you know, you're being a woman. And like, again, a lot of that stuff is dark. And like, we got to teach girls better than that, to view themselves as just objects, you know. And it's both a male and a female problem, I find. You know, like, people don't know how to be real men or real women because it's, again, very superficial. Yeah, I agree.
I was wondering, like, just to put this seed out there, that, like, would you ever consider kind of doing one of these interview videos almost with, like, your gran?
I wish. I don't know if she ever would. But I wish. My grandmother's very fucking cool. She was a hippie. My grandfather was at Woodstock. They were freaking dropping acid. They're cool as fuck. Like, they know what it's about. That's why they don't really judge me, I think, as much as somebody else's parents would. Like, I've chosen not to talk to my parents only because it's, like, really difficult, but they're still on my Facebook. Like, I still love you. Like, isn't it so sad that as long as your family's on your Facebook, it's all cool? Like, you're still on my Facebook, even though I don't use it, you know? Like, I never use Facebook because I find, like, that's just, unless it's about this, like, again, unless, that's how I gauge, you know, what I'm doing and if it's superficial or if it's feeding into my ego and everything. Because we all have to, again, balance and just see through the bullshit, and hopefully we have friends around us that can tell us when we're acting like a piece of shit. You know, like, I think that's what Kanye doesn't have.
Yeah, definitely. Because I think that's the thing, that when you, and right, he kind of put it well himself, where he was like, artists don't need managers, they need CEOs, because kind of like what I felt he was trying to put across there was like, you reach the point of that kind of stratospheric success where you effectively are this brand and product. You cease to be you anymore. You just become this money-making device for a load of other people. Yeah. And you cease to have the people around you telling you what you need to hear for your own benefit. They're just going to feed you every piece of shit they need to keep you making the fucking money that's going in their fucking pocket at the end of the day. You know what I mean? So, poor Kanye. I want to take him home and look after him and be like, come on, easy, come back to England with me. I'll make you a cup of tea. You can chill out. You give up this rapping bollocks and all
get
your
away.
silly
Like,
shoes.
this is what I feel. Like, he should just get away from it all. Get away from Kim. Get away from all that superficial shit. Get away from Hollywood. Go into the forest. You have plenty of money. Build something amazing. Build, you know, like, I don't know, maybe, you know, that would be cool.
That's what I do.
Right?
If I had that much fucking money, mind you, he's getting his, like, 300 acres or whatever he's got, and he's like, oh, I'm building my first community. And I'm like, yeah, Kanye, build your fucking community, bro. I'll come and I'll right, for some reason now, like, I want to meet him. I'd really like to meet Kanye and just have a proper sit down chat with him, and because, like, there's so much shit there that, especially like it's difficult in it to truly gauge someone through interviews and things. But I don't know. I really hope and I really want to believe that he's a proper nice bloke when you kind of speak to him. But I want to believe that about everyone, you know what I mean? Yeah. Well,
I think
right. Sorry, random silly question. Okay. Right, okay. Yeah. If Kanye run for president, would you vote for him?
Hell no. What the hell? I don't know about that, man. Like, that's what he wants to do now. That's his whole entire... He went and on TMZ and was like, this is great. I love Trump because Trump shows me that this can be dreamt and this can happen. And this can be reality. You can be a celebrity and you can just run for president, and because you have so much influence and power and people love you, you too can become president. Like, yeah. Like, I don't know about that. I don't think any celebrity... I think celebrities are so self-important. Like, I don't buy into all of that, and I feel a lot of people do, and I get it. Like, you need power and influence. And
do you think all celebrities are that self-important? Because, for instance, think about people like Elon Musk.
Okay,
Elon Musk is technically a celebrity.
Was generalizing and being a shitty person at that point, but yeah, not all. Some people can help community and, like, the world. Yeah, yeah. But when you think of a fashion house is going to help selling $5,000 T-shirts and $2,000 shoes, I think that's very hysterical.
See, it's weird though, because I like
love the way
I
you just
like
laughed.
the kind of like 5-year-old dream that he's got, where it's like, I could be president too one day. When I grow up, I'm going to be president. But it's like, again, you can see it in like that total kind of bubble people have been in. Like I remember God, it'll been a couple of years ago now, but I watched this Netflix documentary about Katy Perry.
Oh yeah.
Right? And that was really revealing in the same kind of way, because again, she's one of these. She's been driven into this kind of position where she is just this money-making device for a load of fucking people. She's had very minimal exposure to the real world and real strife and things, and as a result of it, she's kind of this weird childlike entity caught up in this obscure corporate world. And it's like all the things and all the solutions that they put forward are very, very childlike. It's like if you sat down with a 5-year-old kid and it's like, right, how do we make the world perfect? And they're just like, oh, well, I will be president and I will give everyone £1 million and it will all be okay because I make nice shoes and everyone can have nice shoes and we will all be happy. And you're just like, oh, right, okay. Yeah, that's not really a model we can run with, Kanye. But thanks for your input, bro. Let's go and talk to Elon, because that motherfucker's making rockets.
I couldn't watch it. I couldn't watch the whole thing. I had to pause. Like, that's how much I was just like, oh my God, this guy is super narcissistic, super delusional. He has nobody telling him, you know, reality, and he's just completely disconnected. And it was just really sad. Like, I felt sad for Kanye. Like, I felt that, I feel that the media is exploiting him, and I feel like the media exploits everyone, you know, and, like, that's why it's shitty to be a celebrity. Like, that's my fear. Like, I don't want to be in the news ever. Like, it's just one of those things. Like, they abuse you, and then, like, everybody knows you, and like they're basically saying he's mentally ill, and that sucks. Like, can you imagine the whole entire world? Like, that must suck. And you're the most, you know, like he's a Kardashian. That sucks. Like, it sucks to be like part of this. Like, as a person that's like spiritually aware, I would die. I would lose it. I would lose it. Like, that's super scary to realize how important you are and how you are part of the problem, you know, like, and like just the woman that he is with is so anti being woman, you know, and just like, again, superficial, and like, it sucks. It just so sucks. I would never, just waking out of my own delusion and superficial nature was hard enough. Like, that's a path that's super scary. Like, I think that's why, you know, a lot of celebrities drug, you know, like use a lot of drugs and all of that stuff. What else do? You have everything at, you know, your beck and call. And sometimes when you don't develop as a person, like you say, you think that everything's good for you, and then you use all your money, and then you become, you know, in debt like Kanye. And
but I think the scariest thing was what you touched on there, when you kind of like, you've been putting out so much kind of realistically damaging rhetoric for fucking years, and then you suddenly have this point of like, well, there's this moment of fucking self-awareness where it's like, oh fuck, I've been telling millions of people to live in this really kind of negative way, and I've probably done a lot of fucking damage. That must rattle your brain, something fucking awful, because I know there's been times where it's like I've given people shit advice and stuff.
I don't think he knows yet. Like, I don't think he's aware of that yet, because he seems to still be in that delusion. you know, that like
Right.
he's, and like, I don't know, I think it's all implied, you know, like, I mean, I just think it's all implied. Like, you can't be part of both teams. You know, like, you either have to be for the people and for change, or you have to be about the superficial nature and yourself and doing these crazy publicity stunts a month before your album drops.
So, right, do you think, though, it's that binary? Do you think, though, that it is kind of like a one team or the other?
I think that
no
there's
way
this
that
awareness.
you can just not be on any fucking team.
I think that, like, again, like, just you saw his interview and he was completely oblivious to how maybe making shoes isn't changing the world. You know, like, he seemed pretty oblivious to what the Kardashian family is doing to the younger generation of women and the insecurities that it feeds on, and the fighting, and, you know, that just nature of social climbing, you know, that's just very negative for women in general. Like, no self-awareness of that. You know, like, it's not coming from a place of empowering. You know, it's just, again, very superficial, and you can see how fragile his ego is. And, like, it's just very telling. I don't know, but...
Well, I was going to say, like, as a woman, what do you feel like is the most damaging kind of rhetoric that you get exposed to on a daily basis in that kind of context? Because, like, it's obviously, being a bloke, it's difficult for me to fully be aware of how impactful things like beauty magazines and all that kind of like tabloid culture and shit actually is. Do you find it kind of being emotionally impactful to you?
For me, no, because I don't really indulge into that type of stuff. I was never really into, like, you know, I didn't really care whatever somebody else's style, or I never tried to emulate anybody. But I can see within my cousins, you know, and like the girls that I see that think, oh, well, this is a cool YouTube. Actually, I saw that within a guy that I had roomed with. It was really interesting. Like, he reminded me of PewDiePie, like his exact actions, how he used to talk, how in your face he was, you know, the whole, just like, right wing, like, undertones, you know, like, just, he was trying to be somebody else, and he had somebody else's personalities. Another person that reminded me of that, I was having dinner at a Mexican restaurant. There was this girl that had this haircut that was like Rihanna, and like she was talking like Rihanna, and like it's really funny seeing somebody act that way, because you're like, oh wow, they're so not aware that they're trying to be somebody else, you know? So like, that's why I think that, you know, it almost like consumerism is to like, it feeds off of like the things that you're the most conscious of and like just aware of. And a lot of it has to do with like inflating this and like getting lipo and, you know, getting your lips done and getting this done and getting that one. And I think that it's a mental disease, you know, and like, that's why I just be you. You know, be happy with who you are, be happy with what you are, and express your beauty in your unique way. You know, like, that's what I find. I like supernatural. Like, I think it's because of how my grandmother raised me. She didn't get any cosmetic surgery, even though she had the money to and the means to. And she wanted to, but my grandfather was like, no, I love you just the way you are, and you're supposed to love me just the way I am, and we're going to grow old together, and we're going to love each other no matter what. And I think that is beautiful. I don't know, like, that's just how,
definitely.
That's just how I'm old school, I guess. And that's just...
Well, man, sorry for interrupting. I just wanted to kind of like throw this out, because I think it's like the same kind of thing that we were touching on like just prior to this, but it's that idea when we're kind of at this point where we're both discussing the kind of concepts of our own kind of accidentally objectifying other people and trying to be aware of that, but it's when people are so bogged down that they're kind of objectifying themselves.
Yes.
And that's just so kind of like you're saying, it's pathological when you're kind of at this point when the thing that you're trying to make, the most important thing about yourself in kind of like a lot of senses is like, say, your sexual availability or what you can offer sexually to another person. It's like, oh yes, I'm gonna fucking inject shit into my ass and get things shoved in my tits and stuff because the only purpose that I serve is being this sexual object, and that's how I validate my existence. It's fuck, man. That's like must be a really, really horrible place to mentally exist in. Yeah. Like it's weird though, because I can understand it to a degree because a certain part of you has to consider yourself as a sexual entity and as, you know, how you appeal to another, because obviously you want to appeal to a possible partner. So you still have to navigate that water, but there's like a pathological way to do it, and there's a kind of healthy and rounded way to do it where it's one way seems to me more about looking after yourself and seeking a healthy kind of body and, like, you know, proper looking after your nutrition and everything like that, and that's how you become the most kind of like sexually appealing individual, is actually by loving yourself. And then there's this other one where it's like falling into that self-objectification, and I'm going to turn myself into this plastic Barbie doll because and for some reason the media's give me this idea that that's what men want, and 90% of blokes are like, what? Because this is the thing that I notice about every dude I know who's in a relationship, and myself, whenever I've been in relationships, everyone always has this thing with their girlfriend where it's like, what? You know, I love you without any makeup on, and I think you're just beautiful the way you are. Why are you so concerned about your appearance? You know what I mean?
Like, I think that's what, like, that's why I feel like I'm here to represent girls, to show them you're not just your body, you're not just your makeup, you're not just your hair, you're your mind, you're your soul, you know, your action, you know, your thoughts, what you do, you know. And it's just like, it's so silly because, like, I was kind of brought up that way too. But I was a bookworm, you know, and, like, I was a late bloomer and all of that stuff. So it just, I can see how, you know, when, especially nowadays, with the younger generation, I could see how that can influence young girls. I know it influenced me when I watched something on the TV and I was like, oh man, that girl looks like a Barbie doll. I want to be that, you know, but you were a kid and you didn't know any better. But that was subconscious, subliminal messages, you know, that are being programmed within your mind. You know, like, you grow up, and by the time you're 24, 25 years old, you look like this, you know, Barbie doll, and you forget what you ever were, and you're just like, oh, you know. And, like, I had a lot of friends that got a lot of cosmetic surgery, and they're like, Samina, when are you going to get this? When are you going to get that? And I was just like, no. And they're like, why? Aren't you insecure? And I'm like, no. You know, but I grew, and that's the most important part, I think, to tell the younger generation, like, you're beautiful, and to, like, the parents, tell your children they're beautiful. Like, you kind of need to do that. You need to empower them and to tell them how smart they are and how great they are and they could do anything, you know, like, because that's what my parents told me. And I really grew up thinking I could fucking be anything. You know, and I think that's what stopped me from, like, going down this path of just psychosis, you know, because, like, you believe in yourself, and you have to believe in yourself. Like, that's really important. I find parents have to kind of do that to their children, you know, like, don't over coddle them and baby them, and, you know, like, there are, again, boundaries. You have to like, for me, like, cleaning once a week, like, that was something that I had to do that was very beneficial to me when I got older. You know, structure, going to bed at a certain time.
Cool. Well, I would think it is, as well as parents, I just think, like, the opposite sex, whatever you are, I think, like, speaking from a male perspective, I feel like me, well, just as an individual, and every other bloke, we all have a responsibility to prioritize depth in a partner. You know what I mean? Because it's all this shit, right? It's culturally designed and it does appeal to you, and I'm not completely fucking above it, right? Okay, because I will be honest, if a woman's walking down the street and she has a fine ass and she is in skimpy clothing and it does something viscerally to my mind and to my body, I have a response to that. It's just like, vroom, you're like, pussy, oh, and but then you've got to kind of, again, you've got to catch yourself and control yourself and go, wait a minute, that's just this weird fucking monkey shit I've got in my body that wants to fuck everything, and I don't know what that person's like. Is that person actually going to be conducive to the way that I want to live my life, or do I just want to shag them again as this object? You know what I mean? Because it's like, right, here's a good thing, because this is kind of like how I'm trying to base my decisions, and there's just kind of like a little insight into my own life and a kind of illustration of how I go about trying to navigate this thing. It's like recently I've been fucking about on Tinder, because Tinder has one of these fucking you always used to need a Facebook, right? But I don't have a Facebook, and I refuse to have a fucking Facebook. But now they've expanded it to.
I don't use Facebook. I just have a Facebook page, and I had to create a Facebook to create the Facebook page. But I don't put anything on Facebook. Hell no.
Good call.
Fuck that shit. Like,
but yeah. So that is the first time I've ever fucking used that app. So I've just been kind of like using it for a couple of days, and the experience of it's been really fucking interesting.
So what's your experience with Tinder? Please, I want to know everything. Because I've never used any type of dating app like that, so I'd love to know.
Well, I would just like, right, fuck it, I'll have a go at this. Because like one of my mates, Johnny, used it, and him and his missus met on that.
Oh, nice.
And you know, they're just brilliant time. That's kind of
great.
Thing. So I'm just like, oh yeah, right, okay, I'll have a gander on this and see what it's all fucking about. And it's really, really interesting from a psychological perspective, right?
Tell me,
because
I'm so excited.
There's kind of like, it seems like the users on it split into kind of like a strong binary, really. Yeah. There's either girls who are on there who, again, like super self-objectification. It's all like, oh, in a bikini, fucking every fucking like trout pout, selfie shot, Kim Kardashian in the mirror, arse stuck out, fucking shot, and all that kind of thing. And I'm just like, I'm mind boggled. Yeah. What are you searching for here? You're not looking for a stable relationship.
What you should do
if you are looking for a stable relationship,
what you should do,
you're not going to attract the people who will be in a stable relationship with you by marketing yourself in that way.
What I would do,
you know what I mean? It's utterly bizarre.
What I would do if I were you, I would pick a girl if she is with a dog or a cat.
No. I'm not into that, but I'll tell you how I've been kind of functioning my, how I choose which way to swipe on it.
Okay, tell me how you choose.
It's like you get a like from me, yeah. Mm-hmm. If in your photograph you're playing an instrument.
Okay, that's cool. That's cool, yeah.
Because that's like, I don't give a shit what you particularly look like or anything like that. I don't care, because the thing is, my most important priority in like a partner is I have to be able to talk to you, right? And I have to share the interest of music with you, because that's my fucking passion. You know what I mean? Yeah. So flicking through that, it's like fucked off like thousands and thousands of these fucking like arse out, tits, fucking thong, fucking. It's like, nah, fuck off. Fuck off, fuck off, fuck off. Oh, bird with a guitar. Like.
Okay.
Fuck off. Oh, bird sat there with a piano. Like, you know what I mean? Because it's like, then you've got something about you. You've got a fucking interest. You care about something other than just this aesthetic surface of yourself. And you're not just marketing yourself as a piece of meat you're an individual with depth and interest.
Yes.
You know what I mean? And it amazes me the polarity that exists in the majority of people on that. And I don't know whether that's like a fair sample set of today's people or whatever. You know what I mean? It seems like the majority of people who are kind of using that form of dating are just so surface based. It's bizarre, man. It's fucking nuts. It's really weird.
That's how I feel as well, and like that's why I was.
Sorry, can you say that again? You're breaking up a bit again.
Okay. Can you hear me? Hello, can you hear me?
Yeah.
Okay, cool. So when I was single, I was single for a while, and I don't know. It just can you hear me?
Yeah.
Okay,
You just keep blurring out a bit, but I can hear you.
So
I'm
gonna go closer. Anyway, when I was dating, like I was just single, and I realized how superficial everything was, and like that's why I kind of went into the rave scene. Like, I mean, that seems to be a lot more about like the experience and cool ass people and psychedelics, and like women don't really objectify themselves too much, and if they do, it's because of they're in their divine natural femininity. And I don't mind girls like wearing bikinis at like dance festivals and music festivals. Hey, like you do it, do you. You're supposed to be able to express yourself in any way, shape, or form. And if you want to express yourself in a thong and some cowboy boots, go do you. Like that's fucking cool. But yeah, I just like that's why I turned to like the psychedelic, you know, rave scene, underground scene to find a partner, and that worked really well because like the first conversation we had, we were both on acid and just like connecting from the heart, like, and I wasn't just connecting with them, I was connecting with the whole entire room and everybody around me. So like, I mean, that's a great place to meet someone. And like, you know, it's, you have to know yourself because there's a lot of shitty people there too sometimes, and like the rave scene, and like you have to kind of feel with your heart and like feel like who's really heart based, you know, and who just wants to connect with your soul. And like that's, I just let my heart follow, like just follow that shit, like take a good amount of psychedelics, and you just start like having conversations with people until the sunrise at like 11 a.m. Yeah. That's how I like to do things. I don't know. I couldn't find it at a club.
I think that's the best way to do things. Definitely.
Yeah.
But I think that's what legitimately worries me about kind of like the generation just behind us.
Yeah.
Because they will never. I don't think they'll ever have the experience of kind of like dating and having kind of romantic encounters like we will have done. You know what I mean? I think we're probably kind of the last generation that will know what in-person dating and things are. You know what I mean? And being able to strike up conversation with people in fucking real life.
Yeah.
Which it's
scary,
man,
right?
It is, isn't it? It's really, really weird because I just think that the level of... Because that's what it is, right? When you reduce something to kind of like an app or like an online profile or something like that, it is, you literally have to reduce your identity to this effectively little advertisement.
Yeah. That's it.
And
it's crazy, isn't it?
It's just, how did we as society collapse into this? Is it just purely out of convenience? Are people that fucking busy that...
Yeah.
They'd rather kind of like go for this weird kind of vicarious experience than actually go out into the real world.
Yeah, I just...
And obviously, you know what I mean, it works for some people. Like I said, it works for me mate Johnny and his missus. They're very fucking happy together and that worked. But I do definitely think that like these things seem to be doing more damage than good, in my opinion.
I would have to agree with you. I have never had like I think that like I don't know, I never had Tinder. I was like, I've always wanted to just like make a fake profile just so I could see like what's on Tinder, you know what I mean? It's just so interesting. And I find like the more I like disconnect from like stuff like that, or from like culture, pop culture, celebrity culture, all of that stuff, the more disconnected I am to like what the fuck's going on in the world, you know? Like, so sometimes I like to like, you know, just like purely voyeuristic and just be like, what's going on here? Like, I just want to like look at these fucking profiles, because I think that would really show me the psychology of the state of humanity, or the younger generation. Yeah, totally. What do you tell me about
you should
your
do it just
experience?
for the crack. Make a fucking Tinder profile. You know, tell your fella so he knows you're doing it and shit.
Yeah,
just
and
do
I
it as
would
like a
probably,
social experiment.
Yeah,
you could do
yeah.
a YouTube video on it. You know what I mean? And catalogue like how people interact with you. Like, what are the guys? What are their opening lines to you? How many dudes? Is it just like 90% of guys sending you like a fucking dick pic or some shit, or is there actually nice people on there trying to fucking interact with you genuinely? You know what I mean?
I think that there would be a mixed bag. I think a lot of people are very genuine, and like I always thought, like when I was really like lonely before, and like I had to be with myself, you know, for years, and I had to love myself before I started allowing myself to get in situations that I wasn't really comfortable with, because I'm a shy person. I don't like to talk to people. You know, what I usually depend on is, and this is honestly being real, I would depend on people coming to me because of how I looked. And like, it would be like, oh, let's go to that non-threatening, cute girl, you know? So I would depend on that. And like, that really worked for me. But at the end of the day, I just didn't, after my psychedelic experience, you know, I used to be able to just go out and have fun and not think about things, but all of a sudden I fucking changed to the very core. And now it's like relearning how to be and what you are, because you didn't know who the fuck you were before. So yeah, I commend everyone that's like doing that and on that path. And it's a fun path. It really is. You get to meet super cool fucking people. And like that's why like I like to have the rave experience. Like I like to go at least once a week. Not once a week, once a month. I don't do it more than once a month, once every 2-3 months. Because number one, I don't like going outside. Like I'm just that type of person. I rather be at home with my dog. Like I have to go out. Like I kind of understand like where people come from when they're just like, I gotta do this, I gotta interact, like, and it's like super selfish. But that's just like, I think that being on YouTube is enough. I'm like, I interact with people, that's enough. Like, isn't that enough? And my partner's like, no, let's go out. And I'm like, I have a partner. Like, isn't that enough? Like, that should be enough. And he's like, no, let's go hang out with friends. Like, you have friends, like, that want to hang out with you and talk to you. And I'm just, like, so weird and I don't understand. But then when I go and, like, hang out with them, I'm like, this is, again, a spiritual experience. And you're, like, helping and you're loving and you're sharing. And talking about relationships, our friend, you know, a lot of my boyfriend's friends are girls. Actually, all of them, most of them. So we met a few of them, like, when we're friends with them because of a rave that we went to. And she's like, oh man, you guys have such a great relationship. Like, you know, like, just like, almost like, oh, I wish I could like have, you know, like that. And I'm like, you don't know how much shit we've been through. Like, love is going through hell and back with somebody and realizing that you love them and like, it's enough, you know, like you found somebody that's going to deal with your shit and your like really shitty behavior and understand and care enough to just back the fuck off and not be aggressive, like in your most vulnerable states and like stuff like that, you know, like, so like it's hard. And it's just like, oh damn, like, you know, a lot of people don't realize how much work a relationship is, like, if you really care about it, you know. I have like, even friendships are like that, you know, like, I don't know. It's very similar, I find. Yeah, I treat them with the same respect. And I try to be in a very non-judgmental place and realize everybody's at their own stage, you know, of consciousness. And sometimes you're here to be that light, you know, and like be that person to just like become self-aware. And you're like, they're just drinking, having a drink with you, and then they're coming to these deeper states of awareness, and they're like, whoa. And they're like, yeah, that's what I'm here for.
See, I think that's a very, very fucking important sentiment to convey, right? Because like we were saying before, in terms of the media and the way that it presents a lot of things, I think one of the things that's massively fucking skewed in the media is its portrayal of relationships, full stop. It's always this kind of movie kind of ideal bollocks fucking relationship that doesn't really exist at all. And this is why, right, for fucking like a good while now, I've been subtly hinting and telling you that you need to do one of these things definitely with your fella, because I think, like, not because, just think about it, right? Okay, the fucking people who you impact with your videos, there are going to be some kind of like young girls out there and shit who need an example of a real loving relationship.
Yeah,
and you know what I mean? Too, like, and just you two sat down and having a chat for an hour and a half about your experiences together and like the difficulties and the positives and like how you kind of work through different things and how you've got to the point that you have together. Yeah. I think definitely people would find very fucking beneficial, man.
Yeah, like
that's
cool what I realized. I think that, like, I mean, for the most part, I think men and women, you know, need help. Because it's just like, again, the whole world is very base and superficial and like not really self-aware of how important relationships are between both sexes and within each other, like men on men relationships, women on women, like everything is so important. And I find, again, people don't connect from the heart. Like, they don't connect from, I guess that's a very psychedelic space. Because I remember when I was wearing, like, psychedelic shirts in Manhattan and I was just walking down the street, and then this other person in the psychedelic shirt would give me a high five, and that's just, like, how we are. You know? So, like, that's the message that, like, I always say to myself. Like, the reason why I didn't talk on women's issues enough is because I wanted to be here for everybody. I don't think I'm just like, you know?
Oh my God! I've just realised how Kanye is going to save the world with fashion. Because I've had a similar experience to you. Because I've got this fucking DMT top that I wear a lot that's just got a DMT molecule on it. Oh. And whenever I wear that out, someone's always like, motherfucker, DMT, and I'm like, oh, motherfucker, DMT, yeah, you know what I mean? And it's like signalling that little fucking thing. But maybe this is Kanye's intent. Maybe you've got your pair of Yeezys on and you're walking down the street and another woke motherfucker wearing their Yeezys be like,
I don't think it's going to be that way, because number one,
Yeezys, motherfucker.
You're expensive as fuck. Like, we're not gonna be buying that shit. Like, come on, $1,000 shit. Get the fuck out of here. I wear the same shit all the time. Like, don't you see my videos? I'm wearing the same fucking hoodies. I'm wearing the same fucking shirts. I have the same pair of shoes for the past 2 years. Like, I just, like, that's not, you become so detached from all of the unnecessary shit that you just wear, like, the same fucking, like, sacred geometry thing, you know, like, or, like, all-seeing eye, like, t-shirt or whatever. Like, I don't know, I don't really get into fashion all like that, but if anybody sees this, wait a minute, but if anybody
you're still
sees
using
this,
clothing to signal a thing.
Yeah, it's a signal, but here's the thing, if there's any woke designers out there that want me to sponsor their shit, send me some clothes. I'm a size medium.
Yes.
So I'm just saying,
right.
If you want to send your hoodies and your t-shirts and your freaking hats and your freaking sneakers and your freaking track pants, whatever, Kanye, you want to send me your shit, whatever, like, that's cool. I don't think you're ever gonna, you know,
in fact, yeah, right, okay, because this is the sponsored by Kanye fucking video. I think me and you are owed a fucking fresh ass pair of Yeezys each. Too fucking right. Where's my sneakers, Kanye? Sort your shit out, bro. I'm writing to him. I'm gonna write him a letter.
Oh
like,
my God.
I demand.
No, but seriously, I thought about that. I'm like, damn, because I'm getting, like, you know, like, messages from people that are like, you know, like sponsor our gum, or like, you know, sponsor our quinoa, like sponsor, you know, this tea or whatever. I'm not gonna do that shit, but if you got some cool ass clothes, like, holler at me. Like, I will totally rock that shit. Be like, sponsored by this brand. No, but like, you have to kind of you have to like again have your integrity, and like if it doesn't relate, like I'm not going to fucking put like fucking something in my videos that are people like, come on, like I'm not gonna buy that shit. You know what I mean? Like it has to kind of relate, you know, like cool ass t-shirts and hoodies, because like that's what I do. Like it can't be like, have some, you know, like freaking yogurt or whatever, or like some almond milk. Like that's not like, I'm not a cooking show. Like, so you kind of have to like, again, pick and choose. And I wouldn't do it with some like major brand. I would want to do it with a psychedelic person. You know what's really cool?
I'd like to say that I'd never accept an endorsement from a corporate entity.
Right? Right? Right?
What lovely coffee.
Lies.
You were saying.
You know damn well you would take Starbucks. No,
fucking man, I would say if someone would pay me, there's, you know what I mean? There's not a lot I wouldn't do for money.
See, like that's what I always ask myself. I'm like, would I, you know, like you get, I don't know, for me at least, like I would rather like, because I have an art background, I would like sell something fucking cool. I don't know, like that's just me. But yeah, or cool clothes. What's up, dudes? What's up? Give me free clothes. Give me free clothes. Like, that's what's up. I'll fucking give me a t-shirt, man. Oh, I wanted to tell you what's really fucking cool about, like, doing these videos. Somebody contacted me that has the same fucking visions, and they're like, check out my artwork. And I was, like, blown the fuck away. And I was like, holy shit. Like, whatever you want me to make, like, I'm a graphic artist. Like, you know, like, I love your videos. Like, use my videos. I'm like, what? Like, that's what I love, you know? Like, people that are other artists getting inspired and wanting to be part of the word and the message and, you know, part of the movement of being part of, you know, humanity and the people. They're like, damn, I love your content. Use my video. Or, like, I'll make artwork for you. Like, that's what we have to be doing with each other, man. Yeah, totally.
So like, it ends up being this kind of meta collage, doesn't it, of everyone's kind of art then. It's not just one person in a vacuum creating their little kind of piece of the universe. It's everyone mashing it all together, and then it just becomes this bigger kind of movement and thing, and just that's how you impact culture. You can't do it as a lone entity.
Yeah.
You need...
Totally, and like that's why I like to collab, and I like to just like express my art the way I can in the best fucking way possible, because I can, you know, like that's just how I'm an artist, man. Until I live in the hood, I do my artwork, like that's what artists do, you know.
I live in the hood.
I do.
That's such a cool line.
I do, like, but that gives me more street cred, man. Like, I mean, hey, I'm getting my shit together. Like, it's not for any reason. Like, you just either don't care and you're getting your work done, and, like, you have, like, goals as a person, you know, or you don't, and you just stay there and you're stagnant, you know, and I know I'm not that type of person, you know, so I just keep on doing my best and just doing you. Like, I feel like that's what you have to do as an artist. And not let anybody else's opinions of your artwork or, like, you know, whatever, blow your head up or, like, again, make you question yourself or any of that. And I find doing YouTube videos allows me to just, like, be me and not give a fuck. And, like, that's why I like doing it, you know, and, like, it's so cool. Like, it's very freeing and expressive, and, like, the people that want to go on Facebook and like share everything and do those quotes, like go to YouTube, guys. Like you guys would do so good on YouTube. Like seriously, people just want to hear people talk and express their truth, and like that's why I love YouTube. Like I love just like watching someone's experience. You know, like I'm a YouTuber. I like watching other people's experiences, and like the more
Definitely.
truthful, the better. You know, the more for me at least controversial, the better. Like that's why I was laughing at like the Kanye thing, because it was just like that's his perception of woke. And is that, you know, is that detrimental to humanity? As of right now, I think people are kind of just very self-aware, and it's, you know, some people aren't, and again, like that's their journey, but I would, you know, who the hell am I kidding? Like the world is very polarized and crazy right now, and like I don't know, nothing surprises me.
Yeah. Right, random question, because we kind of like touched on fucking YouTube and shit there, and I know this wasn't necessarily in the same vein, but I'm just wondering now, because you're using like a load of different platforms at the moment to release your shit onto, aren't you?
Yeah.
And I'm presuming you're still kind of getting like fair hassle and demonetization and bollocks from the YouTube being the way it is. Or has that kind of settled down a bit?
I haven't monetized any of my videos since my YouTube almost deleted me video.
Right, fair dues.
I just don't care. Like I could use other platforms. Like it's become.
Well, how are you finding like the cryptocurrency backed stuff, like Steam, like DTube and shit like that?
I have not been on DTube. I should. I'm being such a little bitch. Like I need to do it. It's one of those things where like every day you're like, oh my god, like should I do this? And like, okay, let me do this, but let me first do my YouTube video. And you do your YouTube video, and 3 hours later, you're just like, oh, you know, like, so it becomes a job. Like my podcast I did with Mark Dreams, that one took me from start to finish, like 12 or 13 hours, like uploading. Just to like edit, it didn't take very long because like I don't really edit my videos like that. So like 5 seconds just to edit everything out. And then 13 hours to upload. So I was exhausted by the time I was done with that. Yeah, it's just as a content creator, you're just like, I need more motivation and coffee, maybe. Because it gets a lot, like, and you just have to pick and choose. I should be doing DTube, I know, but it's just like,
well,
so
I tried to use DTube. I kind of
uploaded
uploaded 2 things, but the upload speed on DTube is fucking terrible. Even like I mean, I know YouTube itself can be slow, but DTube for some reason, I think it's just because it's a small site and they mustn't have a lot of fucking server bandwidth and shit.
Yeah.
I think I uploaded 2 tunes to it, and then I was just like, oh fuck this! I can't have my computer tied up for that fucking long just to get single tracks up and thing.
That's my problem. Yeah. It's just like it sucks because then you got bitchute, you got this, you got that. Like I want to use all of them, but like I can't. I need multiple.
Do you know what? Someone needs to invent. Someone could make a fucking fortune if there was kind of like a hub platform that you could link all your different accounts to. So you kind of like, you link your DTube and your YouTube and you like every other thing that you release on all together, and then you just upload to that one host site, and that from their servers then spends time uploading it to the rest of all the other platforms. You know what I mean? If there was a service like that out there, that could make a fucking killing.
Yeah, that's really true. Like, I mean, it's freaking hard, man. It's really hard. Like, I need to be more productive, but it's just like, the first thing I need to do is like clean my apartment, get showered, get ready. That takes like, I have to get up earlier. I get up at like 9 o'clock in the morning and just like get going. I was like,
pussy bitch, I get up at 4 most days. Bitch, Get
Damn,
your
I
shit
am a
together.
bitch.
You could
Damn,
be
I have to
up
work
like
harder.
fucking
I gotta
hours
work
earlier.
harder. I gotta work hard. Damn. I'm so fucking lazy. I'm not gonna lie. And this is me lazy. Damn. If I had like half of the motivation you do, taking over the world.
Man, I've got no fucking choice. I've just got to. You know what I mean? I'll tell you one thing though. Like at the moment, I am managing to be vaguely organised with it. I'm going to try now. Like this weekend, I put out a fucking performance video, so that's one thing. But I'm going to try and get now a video a week for a good fucking few months, hopefully, or more than a few months. Ideally, I just want to try and get a video out a week for at least 9 weeks now. If I can do that, then I'll be like, I'll permit myself a break for a fortnight or something. But I want to get back on continuous content creation, because I think the main thing that I've done with it, in fact, I'll show you what I've been working on for the past fucking bit, because this is why everything's taken a while for me to do, because as a fucking musicy fellow, you need all your gear to actually perform your shit. So this magic box here, let me just fucking get that. Ooh, can you see that there? Is that all showing up? Let it focus.
Stuff? Oh, yeah.
Boom. Right, so this box is the accumulation of like a few fucking months' work. So this shit will let me all fucking gig my shit live without fucking about too much, because basically this box all just collapses down.
Yeah.
And it's one thing. Normally, when you're gigging, like I've done it previous, is like with a big fucking amplifier and shit and like loads of stuff, and it makes everything a massive fucking ball ache, because you just end up, you need like a van to transport all your shit, you know what I mean?
That's a lot of
and
stuff.
now in doing that, it's like everything I need for a gig collapses down into that fucking box. I take that, my bass, and that's everything, and I can fit it all in my little fucking car and just boom, fucking away. So I'm chuffed to bits now, me, because because I enjoy doing the fucking YouTube videos, and I enjoy doing like the podcast and shit like that.
Are you going to
it's
record
fucking great
yourself?
fun, but
are you going to record yourself at your gigs?
Probably, because that's one thing that this setup actually lets me fucking do, right? Okay, because I've got like built into the mixing desk is a nice little kind of like USB interface, and I'm getting like an Android tablet. And now, thank fuck, some genius, I don't know, I can't remember the name of them, but there's some genius set of chaps who have finally put out USB audio drivers for Android. So now I'll be able to record live sets straight into a fucking tablet, straight off my board, all from my one fucking box of magic. So every gig that I do, I could effectively record a fucking, like a live album from if I wanted. But it's just fucking brilliant, man. Fucking brilliant.
Well, I wonder if you could.
It's one of those things, like.
I wonder if.
Sorry, carry on.
I know. I said I wonder if you could stream doing that. That would be really cool.
I'd need some kind of like laptop to do that. I did actually sign up for a fucking Twitch thing, and what I was debating doing, because like obviously I can run all my shit off that. I was thinking of using this computer that I'm speaking to you on now, because like what I'm trying to do at the moment, and what like a good day looks like to me in terms of a rehearsal schedule, is I like to do like a good fucking 3 hours in terms of practice, because if you think my full set's roughly about an hour, so it's like I like doing a full vocal run through, a bass run through, and then bass and vocals together run through. So I was thinking, like, realistically, there's no fucking reason that I shouldn't just stream that every day. And I know some people might find it fucking boring, because I'll just be playing the same fucking set every day, but it's just like, just kind of egotistical proof that I practice that fucking much. You know what I mean? Because if people could just tune into fucking Twitch and see me practicing every fucking day if they wanted it, it's like, why not have that running? You know what I mean?
What you could do is like you could take like requests and like for donations.
Ah, fuck requests though. I don't want
Why?
to. It's like you get my music that I fucking choose to play, and you
Damn,
can
you
watch me
suck.
because I'm gorgeous.
All right. That's kind of how I feel too sometimes.
Oh, you did your first fucking live
Hell
stream,
yeah,
didn't
but
you?
here's the
I was
thing.
pissed off, man. I fucked up the fucking time things, right? Because like I set an alarm on my phone for when I thought it fucking was,
Yeah.
and then like I fucking like come in and I logged on and got onto your fucking thing, and you're there starting the fucking stream and everything, and you're like getting it all fucking going. And it was like fucking 10 minutes into it or some shit. I was in the repeat after you'd fucking already done it, but I thought I'd hit it for the live thing, but I was like an hour late or something. But I proper believed that I was watching it live for a good fucking while before I realised.
It wasn't live. Yeah. Alright, you can make fun of the Mac user.
Too right.
Anyway, we were talking about music before it got cut off and went all crazy. But yeah, my partner wanted to know where you were from exactly in England. I could delete this out.
Manchester.
That's what I thought.
Oh,
Okay.
no, you can do this can go in. I don't
Well,
fucking
I don't know.
care.
Sometimes
but,
people don't like to tell exactly where they're from because they're afraid.
All right, well, wait, gosh, fucking just come and stalk me, find me if you want. I really don't fucking care. But yeah, no, I live like like Manchester is one of like the important cities in England.
All right.
And I live kind of like half an hour outside of Manchester,
Okay.
so it's just like north of England. Fucking rains all the time. Grey. Today has actually been like one of the hottest day of the year so far. We got up to about 26 degrees today. But in fact, in your American bollocks fucking Fahrenheit shite, it'll have been about like just shy of 80. You know what I mean? So we went up to my mate's house today and had a nice barbecue, and that was fucking lovely and hot as fuck and nice. But yeah, that's about as hot as it gets, really.
Yeah.
Most of the time, it's just pissing it down. You're still like Jersey way, aren't you?
Yeah, I'm in Jersey. It's been good weather. The cool thing is like nature isn't very far. We're like literally the woods is like 15 minutes away. So it's good. Like it's kind of weird. Jersey's really weird. It's really big. It's a lot bigger than I thought it was. I'm not from Jersey, but my partner is from Jersey, so it's kind of cool.
I've just thought, can I send things? Oh yes, I can send things. Right, okay. Where's my thing? Oosh. Right. Oh. Click on that link.
That link. Alright.
Yep. That is where I live. Manchester.
Oh, that's
in
really pretty.
England's pastures green.
That's pretty. I like that. That's pretty.
It's a nice place, really. It's one of those, like, wherever you live, there's wankers, isn't there? But yeah, it's alright. But like that's the everywhere in England.
Yeah.
Kind of looks like that. You're never really more than half hour away from the middle of fucking nowhere. But as well, you're never really more than an hour away from the fucking sea as well, because we're a little fucking island. You know what I mean? Like I'm like, oh, you live in Jersey, like that is a localized thing. But I'm pretty sure that fucking New Jersey is probably bigger than fucking England is. You know what I mean?
It's pretty big. They have like Jersey, like really far out, like near Pennsylvania, like that's really far. It's like 3 hours away from here. Yeah, it's really huge. And I kind of like to be farther out from everything. I don't know, but that's just me. I don't like to be in cities anymore.
Because I mean, shit.
This is what I'm about to put on a movie. No, it's really funny. I'm a vegetarian, but my partner isn't. So it's really interesting.
Oh, good man.
Yeah.
Meat. It's a necessity.
No, oh man, I just listen. It's all about impacting the earth and the animals and doing as little damage as you can. All right, that's why I have been a vegetarian.
That's why you should eat venison. Because venison is the most ethical meat. Arguably, it's more ethical than a lot of plant-based sustenance that you're going to imbibe.
I don't know. Like I heard about that meat that like it's just the cells that they grow, the stem cell meat, whatever, where it's just meat, but like they don't have to kill. Well, let me see. They don't have to kill people.
I don't know.
Kill people.
I think a bit of death makes it taste better. If it was just grown in a laboratory, I think that'd bore me. I want my food to have had a face at some point in its life.
Whatever. I already got most of the interview I wanted anyway.
Right.
No, I respect your cannibal views. I respect that. Let me see. I respect that.
Cannibal.
These are pretty.
I don't know. I think what it is, like I've said this to a few people, but it's like I don't know. I don't think I know enough to assert a hierarchy of plants versus animals. I think it's like if I'm willing to eat plants and I'm willing to ingest life, then see, I bet he'd taste good.
My daughter over here? You're gonna eat my daughter? How dare you?
They're like in some countries, dogs are on the menu.
They suck.
Are you going to tarnish an entire kind of culture of peoples for the food that they choose to eat?
Yeah, I like dogs. Just like I don't like people that eat rabbits. I like rabbits too.
What? Right. Okay. Why are dogs more important than, say, a pig?
I like pigs too. I don't like people that eat pigs either.
Fair enough. See, I can't have this argument with a vegetarian. Just, you should start eating meat because you will be a healthier individual, and this.
I rather live off
better,
popcorn.
More popcorn. Oh god, no, it's shit. You're filling your body with crap. You need to kill some stuff and devour its flesh.
No, look at this cutie. How dare you tell her? How dare you tell her she's such a cute girl?
She eats meat.
Yeah, I know. Whatevs. I'm not gonna hate on her.
She's got it right.
Yeah,
she's got it right. You should take a leaf out of your daughter's book.
My daughter. That's how I refer her, like as like that's my daughter.
So I'm going to ask, are you and your fella, have you got your own place now then? Because you were living with his mum, weren't you? Fair dues. How long have you been there?
2 months, a little over 2 months. Yeah, it's good. Yeah.
Oh, nice, man, nice. I bet that's good, isn't it, having your own space?
Yeah, and I'm such a homebody, like, literally have to drag myself outside. So, I kind of like creating indoors, like, once a week, I'll go out and, like, be human.
Yeah.
I feel a lot of YouTubers are just, like, super awkward and, like, don't want to deal with people and, like, there is some ego involved. Sometimes you're just like, I don't want to dumb down the situation, like the conversation, and talk about like superficial stuff and like.
I hope it was as much fun for you guys listening to this as it was for us creating this. If you want any more information about Skanky Mojo, aka Akiodaku, please go in the description box below and there will be all of the links to all of his information, his Twitter, his SoundCloud, so you guys could listen to his music, his YouTube channel. Please subscribe. He told us that he's going to be having new content every single week. So yeah, guys, thanks for watching. I hope you guys are having an awesome, awesome, awesome day.